Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk start collecting Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and today we're going to take a look at the Skaven Vanguard box set and take a look at how we can use it to start a force of the Skaven in the latest edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, or indeed latest season, and that is Andtor. Now, in this video, we're going to go through the contents of the box set, talk about the options we have, and briefly what all the units do on the tabletop as well, before looking at a couple of other units we can use to expand upon this initial force. We'll then finally finish off the video with a little sample armor list of 1,000 points for you to use, hopefully, as some inspiration for starting your own Skaven force in Andtor. And so, to begin with, first of all, we have the Grey Seer. This is a fantastic Andtorian Locust. 5 wounds and a 5-up save, 6 move, and bravery 6. Pretty standard for your wizard. But for 120 points, you are getting a 2 cast and 2 unbind wizard. You've also got the Warpstone Tokens ability, where once per turn in your hero phase, when this unit attempts to cast a spell, you can say it will first consume a Warpstone token, and if you do so, you roll 3d6, though you cannot re-roll or modify the result. If the 3d6 roll is a 13, however, the spell is successfully cast and cannot be unbound. However, after the effects of the spell have been resolved, you will suffer d3 mortal wounds. If the 3d6 roll was not 13, you remove 1 dice of your choice and use the remaining 2d6 as the casting roll. Now, you also have the Wither spell on your War Scroll, which is allowing you to pick an enemy unit within range and visible, and you roll 2d6. If this is greater than the unit's wounds characteristic, they'll suffer d3 mortal wounds and subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with their melee weapons until your next hero phase. Pretty cool spell all up, and a really super useful wizard, especially for the points cost. Now, joining them, we have 20 clan rats. These are your basic sort of Skaven vermin. 1 wound each, 5+ save. They've got the option of Rusty Blade or Rusty Spear, depending how many you're having in your unit. Really depends on what weapon you're going with. For 20 models, which is generally what I would take them in, you're going to be looking at probably taking the Rusty Blades, the hand weapon version. Now, Seething Swarm means in the end of the Battle Shock phase as well, if this unit's still on the tabletop, you can just return d3 models to the unit. Now, the first of the 2 interesting things we have inside this box set for unit-wise, we have the Storm Fiends. We get 3 Storm Fiends in the box set, and Storm Fiends can be equipped with a variety of different weaponry. You have things like Rattling Cannons, which put out 3d6 shots at 12-inch range. Your Wind Launchers are d3 damage and Ren -3 and have a 24-inch range. Warpfire Projectors are straight-up mortal wounds at a very short range. Meanwhile, you have a variety of different close combat weapons, all ranging from Ren -1 damage 2 to Ren -2 damage d3. Now, some of the cool things you've got is things like your Doomflare Gauntlets, where you can add 1 to the attacks characteristic if you've made a charge. Grinder Fist Tunnelers allow you to set the unit up off the battlefield and deploy 9-inch away from enemy models at the end of a movement phase. Shock Gauntlets can potentially spike with a lot of hits, and you've also got models with Warpstone Laced Armor that have an extra wound on their profile as well. Now, lastly, inside this box set, we get a dual kit, which is the Warp Lightning Cannon or Plague Claw Catapult. Now, the Warp Lightning Cannon, for starters, is a really fun little war machine to have access to. This has a unique ability where you do not use the normal attack sequence for shooting with this. Instead, you roll the dice to determine the power of the attack, then roll 6 more dice after that. For each roll that is equal to or greater than the power of the attack, the target will suffer a mortal wound. Now, you can also choose to increase this to 12 dice, but you have the potential to suffer some mortal wounds as well. Now, the Plague Claw Catapult, on the other hand, has a really big range of 30-inch. You've got the Barrage of Disease, where a target unit attacked with a Plague Claw Catapult, if it's got 10 more models, you can add 1 to your hit rolls, and if it's got 20 or more, you can also increase the damage characteristic to 2d6, which is really nice, and add 2 to the Battle Shock test for units targeted by any of these models as well, which is really cool. Today's video is brought to you by Gap Games, a fantastic retailer in Australia for a variety of different miniature war games. If you'd like to help support the channel, we have an affiliate link where by clicking on and purchasing, you'll help support the channel, but you'll also help support Gap Games, which is a fantastic servant to the community. And so, The Skaven have a ton of different Andtorian locuses they can make use of. The Warlock Engineer is one such. Now you've got the Warp Lightning spell, which is just some direct damage dealing mortal wounds, but you've also got the more warp energy as well. Before you're attacking with your blade, you can increase the damage of that. You're a one cast and one unbind wizard with your warp energy blade giving you D3 attacks in combat. Now the other option you have is the Warlock Bombardier as well. This model has its Doom Rocket, which is a really fun ranged attack, D3 attacks, 4s, 3s, Ren 1 damage 3. And you can also use the more Doom Rocket to potentially increase the damage of this. And you've also got the Warp Lightning spell on this model as well for a little bit of extra mortal wound damage. Lastly, we have the Arch Warlock, which is like the previous two Warlocks, but he is sort of the more advanced one. 2 casts and 2 unbinds on this model. You've got the Warpfire Gauntlet for some mortal wounds, and Warp Lightning Storm is effectively a mortal wound damage dealing spell as well, with a little bit more range and effectiveness. Now, lastly, we have the Plague Priest, and I want to talk about the Plague Priest because I think he is a really interesting pick in the current season. Priests have the cool part where they can sort of play with magic, but not have, you know, the amount of dispelling that we're going to see in the current edition. The Plague Priest is going to be able to provide you with some really nice prayers for your force, enabling you to get some extra benefits in your force, enable you to potentially get things like Curse off to do some mortal wound damage with your force and with your units that otherwise, you know, might not hit all that hard. Pestilence is some straight up damage dealing as well, and you also subtract one from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target the unit thanks to its poisonous fumes, and you can add one to the attacks of this model if it ever makes a charge in the same turn with its plague sensor. And so here we have our sample army list for the Skaven. Now we've gone with the grand strategy, which is going to be Spellcasting Savant. Now, this is going to be one that focuses really on having our spellcasting wizard alive. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if the model picked to be your general is an Andtorian locust and has not been slain. It's pretty cool because the Grey Sea can be quite survivable and quite easy to hide thanks to the new rules for Lookout Sir. We are 20 points under, so we have gone for a Triumph, which will be inspired for +1 wound, particularly useful for Skaven. And then our leader, we've got a Grey Sea, who will be our general and has the command trait Eye of the Blizzard to potentially give us another one of the primal magic dice. And the spell Merciless Blizzard for a nice 4d6 mortal wound damage dealing spell. A bit short range at 12 inch, but Skaven definitely have some ways to can play around that with Gnaw holes. We then have both a Warlock Engineer and a Warlock Bombardier. We've got the Engineer with Hoarfrost and the Bombardier there with the Esoteric Warp Resonator as well as the item for them. Now what this one is going to do is effectively allow us to get a free Warpstone Spark, which we can use to upgrade and boost the power of some of our units. And then we've also got more warp power on the model as well. What this one is going to do is add +1 to hit and wound rolls for a unit, though potentially do some mortal wounds to them. Battleline wise, we have 2 units of 20 Clan Rats, and then we have our 3 Storm Fiends in there as well, which become Battleline thanks to taking a Warlock unit within our force. With them, we've got the Warp Lightning Cannon rounding out the force. Battalion wise, we've gone for the Andtorian Acolytes. This includes our 3 Wizard Heroes. This allows us to potentially get some more primal magic dice, and then we have a nice little force, which is going to be a 7-drop all up. A 10-drop all up, because we're not going to have any sort of drop denying battalions in this force. But if you've got some ideas on how you'd like to play your Skaven in the force, especially using the Vanguard box set as the start, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And so, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and also drop a comment down below letting us know what you thought about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fun little community, we have a Discord server which is linked down in the video's description, and also linked down in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel, either by Patreon or YouTube members, or by grabbing yourself some merch from our Teespring store as well. All of those are linked down in the video's description, and a special thank you to our YouTube members and patrons. We'd like to give you all a shout out, so thank you to our YouTube members John Castle, Disco, James Tillman, Monty Tabletop Terrain, Ariana Edwards, Broken Chef, the Johnny84, Lock Lorick, Ronya, Greenroots Gaming, and our patrons Wasarin, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Cure Dynamic, JJ Austrian, Average Wargaming, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Benjamin Swallows, Redman, Iron Grinch, Colorblind Magic, Grimscold, and Andy C. Thank you all once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.